Hello, friends. It's Nick Vargas with the Source LGBT Plus Virtual Center. And today I am talking with Nadia Cortes, who was in our most recent Leadership Academy, and want to hear her experience and then what she's up to now during this COVID-19 thing and get her perspective. So Nadia, thank you for being here. So tell us, how did you find out about the Leadership Academy and why did you want to participate?
I found out about Leadership Academy through Pride Club at COS, which is the community college I go to. And I wanted to join because, well, on the application I wrote that I wanted to see the world through the LGBTQ person's eyes, as I'm an ally. And it would really help me in the field that I want to go into, which is psychiatry. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, psychiatry. So what's interesting is that you are the only ally we've ever had in the class, which is great. I mean, you're in this case, you're the minority. What was your experience like being the only ally in leadership?
It was kind of daunting because I didn't know if I belonged there. And then you and Brian explained to me that it's actually good to have allies there because, well, outside of the leadership program, I'm the majority and you guys are the minority. So it's good to have an ally, which is the majority, or yeah, majority, and the outside world kind of vouch for the minority. Like this is okay, this isn't disgusting as people think. So
Yeah, and I also think
kind of change their minds.
It's also an interesting experience to go from where you are in the majority, the dominant group, to where now you are an ally.
Yeah.
I mean, in the minority. So it's, yeah, because a lot of the spaces I grew up in, I was the minority. And even today, outside of the work I do and the source, I'm in the minority. But I've had the experience of both. So I love that you were open to that and you made that. What were some of the highlights of your time in leadership? Are there a class, a topic, a moment that stuck out to you?
The moment that stuck out to me was getting to present what we read, because we have these books that we read, and I haven't read books in a group since elementary school. So I thought that was super cool that it kind of gives you structure, which is really good. I really like structure, especially now. I miss it a lot with COVID. So we had to read, and then we had to more importantly tell you and Brian what we read about to kind of like so that we would really learn what we read. Mm-hmm. And the things the books that we read, I still have them.
Good, yeah. So
Too.
watching all of our leadership kids, I mean, they don't pay for anything. We give them all the materials. They get to keep the materials. We're making a substantial investment in them. So show us the books so people can see.
Queer, Where, and Everywhere.
And who did you...
23 people who changed the world.
Who was your person?
My person was Ma Rainey.
Ma Rainey, the singer, right?
Yes, the singer. Gertrude Ma Rainey, yeah. And I really liked her. She really suited me.
And tell the audience one or two things about Ma Rainey.
Well, she was the first, well, here's what she looks like. So she's a woman of color. And she was pretty much the first female singer who sang about real problems. She sang about domestic violence. She sang about topics that weren't just I'm dancing, look at how beautiful the moon is. She was singing about how Black Lives Mattered before Beyonce, before people like Cardi B. She really paved the way for women to kind of sing not only about serious topics, but how like how they enjoy sex and stuff like that. So yeah, she really like pushed the boundaries because she would even like post album covers of like her dressed in like men's clothing and like talking to like these flapper women. So yeah, she really pushed the boundary.
So, and we describe her now as queer because she was,
Yeah, she was.
and pretty open about that too, right?
Yep.
So, for those folks who can see, she's actually on Spotify, and one of her songs, "Runaway Blues," we'll listen to a little snippet of it. Um, but one of her songs, "Runaway Blues," let me make sure my headphones are off here. Yep. I actually listened to this the other day. So yeah, I mean, she sings the blues. I mean, she's from what time period? The 30s, 20s, flappers you mentioned?
She is from, she's from like 1886 to 1939, so like very early 1900s. So she was really pioneering.
Yeah, so you got to learn about Ma Rainey. We also learned about other historical queer figures. What was the other book that we gave you?
How to Win Friends and Influence People in the Digital Age.
So the reason we assigned this book is because the original, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, it's a classic in business. I read it when I was young. And Nadia, do you remember, was there anything that you took away from that book that sticks out in your mind?
Yeah. When talking to others, ask the other about them. Don't simply just talk about yourself. Like you want to like invest your energy into someone else if you want to establish a relationship with them, like a good rapport and perhaps maybe business later on. Like you want to seem interested in their lives. Like, how are you? Do you have kids? Like, are you married? Like things like that. Like you want to seem genuinely interested because if you just come in like, so how much like money can you bring to me? That wouldn't really work as opposed to building a good rapport with them.
Right. To most people, the most interesting person in the world is themselves. People genuinely usually like to talk about themselves. And if you ask people about themselves, it builds that rapport. If you're genuinely interested in their lives and who they are, you build that foundation where you can have friendships, business relationships, but again, being sincerely interested, that's a great takeaway. I mean, because that's very, very useful, having an interest in other people and learning about them. That will serve you well in your life. So we talked about leadership. Tell me, what are you doing now? So you're a student at COS.
Mm-hmm.
What's life like for you now that COVID-19 is happening? What's been maybe something that's been challenging to do and maybe an advantage of this time for you?
It's been challenging to print because my printer doesn't work. So I just like literally write down everything, like especially for calculus, I just like write down all of the questions, even the word problems. And that's probably the most challenging thing, but the rest has been quite easy ever since like going home. Like I would struggle a lot in math. I would like always be in like the math lab, which is like a tutoring center over at COS. But since being home, like I kind of like really had to like figure it out by myself. And it's honestly like really helpful. And I also was lucky enough, like before the whole stay at home order was put out, I got the phone number of one of like the best tutors in my personal opinion from the math lab, so I can just shoot her a text and yeah, it's really useful. Like she writes down what she's doing in words, like all the rules and like all the numerical steps as well. So that has been good. I also have art, which I just I also can't print out like the huge packets, so I just like write literally everything. And then social psych has also been like fairly easier. You find out that like these 2 hour classes can really be condensed into about 12 minutes. It's just like the hourly payroll kind of forces you to stay there longer.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I've heard about that. Like there's a lot of meetings that could have been an email.
Yeah.
Not for what we do here at the source. All of our meetings are very important and worth every minute. But I've heard other people say like, oh yeah, you find out what's really important and what was just sort of a time waster.
Yeah, it really is. Or just like professors cracking jokes, because they want to have fun too.
Yeah, it's definitely been a learning curve for a lot of people going to virtual, and I'm hopeful that we're going to take away things from this time
Yeah.
that we will make our work and our lives maybe more sustainable, more like I've learned that there's a lot of social obligations that, maybe weren't as important as I thought. So this has
Yeah.
been, it's been a good learning curve for us. So Nadia, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today. Are there any final words you want to tell the audience or leave us with a thought, quote, anything?
Yeah, reach out to your resources, to your sources. Like literally, it's been so like eye-opening. Like I learned so much, and I love learning. Like people are naturally curious, so like just being able to like find out about your guys' history, it's really opened my eyes. So yeah, just like everyone watching, like please find out more about the source, or like maybe even other programs like ACT Women and Girls. There's like a lot of cool stuff that they do. So like
Awesome.
get in the know.
Thank you so much, Nadia, for joining us. And folks listening, if you're interested in learning more about our Youth Leadership Academy, it's for people generally from 17 to 24. If you're interested, when we start the new, just send us a message and we'll let you know when applications go. Usually it is a 9-month program, 6 to 9 month program, where we take them through different modules, advocacy, history, public speaking presentations. We cut it short a little bit this year because of COVID-19, but we were also planning to do like bus trips to Sacramento and even an international trip to Ecuador. Those things have been canceled for this year's class, unfortunately, but we plan to have the Leadership Academy again going strong in some form in fall of 2020. So with that, I wish everybody well, and thank you again, Nadia.
Thank you.